You'll remember the vision you experienced back in 1985 on top of an Aztec mountain.
Yes.
When you said that you had been beamed on board a UFO and flew into space. Do you still maintain that that's what happened to you?
Oh, absolutely. I've maintained that since 1985, which is, 21 years now. I have never deviated from that experience because that experience was as real to me as you sitting in front of me, Mr. Bashir.
Can you understand why some people hearing you talk about space travel might be tempted to think it sounds strange?
Well, of course. Those who listen to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in his night journey, when he was definitely in a tent with some followers around him. But the next morning, he told them he visited Jerusalem and then was taken on a swift animal of some sort. And then he went up into the heavens. He met prophet this and prophet that. And then finally, he went into the inner sanctum and spoke with God himself. Well, there's so much controversy over his night vision. Some said, well, was it a vision or did he go in his body? But he gave proofs that he did travel. The Quran says Allah is he who takes men's souls by night. And when I was a little boy, my beautiful Christian mother at that time made me say a prayer. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. I know that physically I didn't go anywhere, but spiritually I did travel. And spiritually, I heard the voice of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And spiritually, he made me to know what the president was planning with his Joint Chiefs of Staff. And I have never deviated from that. And he gave me instructions to tell the world that when I revealed what Reagan was planning, and I know what Bush was planning, and I know what Carter and Clinton were planning, because they're all in the same line from Reagan. Every one of them had some conflict with a Muslim nation, but Bush is the head of it all because he's brought the whole Islamic world now into anger against him and America and the West.
Before we come to Hypno, have you ever had an experience like that again? Have you ever been on one of these UFOs?
No,
That's never happened. And you maintain, you're obviously a very rational man, but you maintain that actually happened. Many people might be tempted to think that you were suffering some kind of psychological delusion of some kind.
I'm here today to inform you that a number of unidentified flying objects have appeared over many parts of our country. Though their exact origin remains to be fully determined, the FBI has informed me that it is very likely that these are visitors of extraterrestrial nature. I advise the American people to remain calm, not fall into panic, and wait for further announcements. We shall overcome this threat with confidence and vigilance. May God protect our souls.
You maintain, you're obviously a very rational man, but you maintain that actually happened. Many people might be tempted to think that you were suffering some kind of psychological delusion of some kind, that perhaps it was some kind of insane vision of some kind.
I guess if you talk to Nostradamus when he was among us, they would probably say the same. People that had visions were called witches. And they were burned at the stake because God singles people out for certain experiences. There are some people that learn how to prophesy from a careful study of history. But there are others that are born with that gift to see.
Welcome to the Talking Tarot Nocturnal Seers Message, Dream Interpretation for Malcolm X and Mr. Farrakhan. Peace to y'all. So I came here to deliver a message that's really been sitting on me for like the last several months. Few months, I want to say. I've been having some serious dreams. With Mr. Louis Farrakhan has been coming to me in these dreams, telling me stuff, right? The last few dreams I had about him, there was like spiritual warfare going on. And we were in like this place, it was like we was by the White House, somewhere in a building or whatever, and there was a war that broke out. And everybody kept trying to leave the building, and Farrakhan was like, nah, don't nobody go nowhere. And he had his people posted up. And all I remember in this dream is that buildings started blowing up. I mean, it was like bombs was being set off, but it was like all to like the base of the U.S. military.
But there are others that are born with that gift to see.
Natural born psychic medium and intuitive reader. Before I ever touched a card, I've always had this ability, okay? For the things that my own ancestors has been coming to me. Just talking, and they be talking to me in another language. And messages that I've been getting, right? I would not have been able to foresee myself here speaking about what I'm about to talk about, right? So let me get some things clear, all right? I don't control the divine. I don't control the power of the universe. I do not control the messages that come to me. I don't control who come to me, all right? But this. I'm here to really talk about this dream I had last year that I had repeatedly that came back to me again this year. And it's about Mr. Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, right? War broke out in that dream.
I had an experience. It was not your experience, it was my experience. All I can do is relate my experience. At the editorial board meeting, they said, what is all this real stuff you're talking about? And I reached down in my bag and got out some facts. Jimmy Carter, before he became president, said he saw them. They were real to him. He said when he became president, he would open up the file. He never did. When a Japanese pilot was flying a 747 across the Bering Straits, he saw this huge wheel, and he said it looked like two of the largest aircraft carriers together. And the largest aircraft carriers, 440 yards in length, two of them would be a half a mile. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that that wheel was a half a mile by a half a mile. The government knows. The astronauts that go out in space, they know, but they can't talk. But I can. And I'm telling you, sir, that before you all can make mockery of me, you'll begin seeing these little wheels over the major cities. You'll begin seeing these little wheels over the major cities. Then what are you going to tell the people after lying to them for so long that this is swamp gas or this is a balloon or this is that, when you know the truth, but you lied, not you personally, but the government has lied to the American people, and in the end, the people will lose all confidence in their government as a group of liars that hide the truth from the masses of the people to keep them under control.
And they were able to use your own powers against you. And this is how they got in control. This is what they did. And they're still trying to do that. But right now, in 2023, they're trying to wage war again against you. They're coming up against you again to attack you again with this.
There's a greater power in the world than the United States of America, and you soon will come to know it. And
all last year, I've been having these premonition dreams about the system being overturned by the Nation of Islam. Now, you got to think about this. And I'm talking about the Black Nation of Islam. I had this dream repeatedly last year, and I was laughing. I'm like, why I keep dreaming about all of this, this Muslim stuff, what's going on? But now it's not funny no more, because they came back to me again this year and was like, oh, you think it's funny? Well, guess what? It's not. We trying to prepare you for something.
you think that power presents himself in the form of these wheels, these UFOs, these kind of interspatial objects?
Ezekiel in the Bible, in I think it's 595 BC, looked up and he saw a vision of a wheel in the middle of a wheel. And Christians that I know in the Baptist church sing about this wheel in the middle of a wheel. The wheel that Ezekiel saw back then is a reality now. They got all kind of shows on television now talking about UFOs and the scientists and the this and the that and the people that went on board these crafts. I can't tell you physically that I've been on board, but I can tell you spiritually I was taken there, and I was promised that I had one more thing to do.
Farrakhan, I remember in the dream before this when he was like, he was packing his suitcases and he was like, I'm getting ready to go up yonder right now. And all the people who I put in place, they already know what to do when I end up going on the journey.
And when I did that one more thing, they would bring me again to the wheel, and I would see my leader that the world thinks is dead face to face. That's my experience. I believe it 1,000%.
Have you done that thing yet?
No, I don't know. I've been trying to do so many things to see if I could get that one thing done.
It was like a chariot that was next to him, and it had horses. It was really adorned or whatever. But he wasn't talking. Malcolm X was talking. So Malcolm X was in this dream. And he came and he said, I need you to go deliver this message. It's going to be a war of separatism.